I like speed. I like things to move quick. I like things to move efficiently, and execution is key for me for my business. You have to have a bit of balance in your life. Of course, I made hundreds of mistakes for being quick and fast, but I think that's the only way to learn, by making mistakes. It's better to make a mistake than just stay stuck in a place.
What was the biggest challenge when building Capital Variation?
The times of loneliness and a lot of the things that you have to go through to be an successful entrepreneur, you have to go back to your family and you have to go and be charged and have a step back and remember why you started.
I went out to New York it was more of a business trip this last time, because I had been there before just for holiday, and exactly just that vibe, the quickness, the speed, just the energy, especially coming here from Sydney, it was just, you couldn't compare.
You have to be okay by being uncomfortable. You have to be okay with not knowing all the answers always. You have to be okay with putting yourself on the spot and sometimes not being right or not being the most prepared or educated or smarter person in the room. There's always more richer, wealthier people than you, more well-prepared. It's always going to be someone better. I think by you always having that growth mindset and not knowing everything and not being okay with unknown, it's a powerful skill.
Tune into this powerful interview with the one and only Margareth Gonzalez, a visionary. Let's go.
Okay, welcome back to the Rabasha Family Podcast. Now, we have a very, very special guest in the building, guys. We have Margareth Johana Gonzalez, founder and CEO of Capital Variation, co-investments family office, institutional capital introductions. Very powerful. She was inspired by a vision to empower exceptional individuals from diverse, non-privileged backgrounds. She founded Capital Variation in September 2019 in London, guys, and her mission has been able to bridge the gap between visionary minds and both public and private capital. Her belief and that passion and vision that she's had is that with the right support and access to the appropriate investors and partners, anyone can realize their dreams and contribute to positive change on a global scale. She's fluent in Spanish, English, German, ich kann Deutsch auch, living between London, Dubai, and often visiting New York City, one of my favorite cities, passionate about identifying and partnering and nurturing individuals, companies, and funds that are committed to sustainability and the empowerment of women. Just moving in the building across from the New York Stock Exchange, guys. Her mission has been simple, is to really foster growth in initiatives that resonate with these vital values driving positive change in both business and society. And the vision of Capital Variation is very, very powerful, with an ability to collaborate and invest alongside exceptional C-level leaders who pioneer solutions to global challenges. And it's an honor to have you here building genuine relationships. Thank you, Margareth, for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for your time.
No worries at all. So can you take us a little bit, I did give a little bit of that introduction of you starting this in London. Where did this passion and vision start from?
Marketing is all about storytelling. Dad, when we first started this business, what did you say to me?
I said, yes, we do a podcast.
Why?
Because I want to tell our story.
Why?
Because I know the story builds a legacy.
Builds a legacy. And that is exactly what we do here at ETS Rabasha Media. We market your story on social media so you could build a legacy for those who come after you, to build your business and your personal brand.
Yeah, follow us on our platform. Go on our website, etsrabashamedia.com.
This is about legacy, and it is about showing up on social media every single day, because if you don't show up, your competition will.
Well, thank you so much, Richard, for giving us this space to provide entrepreneurs like myself to talk about more about the story, talk about more about backgrounds and why we wake up in the morning, what motivates us. So like I said, it's very simple. My name is Margareth Gonzalez. I'm the founder and CEO of Capital Variation. We have companies throughout the UK. We have a company in London, which was born in 2019. And we subsequently, after the Brexit and after pandemic and COVID, we decided to basically diversify. And I flew over to Dubai to understand more about the region and collaborate with like-minded individuals, families, and institutions. So I made a move in 2021 and established Capital Variation back then, when pandemic was a big thing, and obviously Brexit and everything that was going on geopolitically kind of forced an entrepreneur to go and continue the vision, continue the mission, and diversify. So after successfully launching the company in Dubai, I've traveled between Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, a bit in Singapore as well, and Hong Kong, to basically broaden the vision and broaden the capital allocations and partnerships, right? You said earlier, our mission is really simple: to steer private and public capital into companies that will change the course of humanity for good, to add value, to create economy, and also diversify and help entrepreneurs that perhaps are not like the strongest pedigrees or like the most successful or well-known funds or companies to be able to be visible and to connect with capital, smart capital, and basically provide a platform so that companies like myself, companies like, entrepreneurs and female-led companies are able to enrich themselves and raise capital through the network. So we have built a very, very strong foundation of partnerships, which basically translates into now 20,000 investors within the platform. We obviously don't work with every single investor, but the mission is that wherever we go and whatever company we help commit to fund through, they can do that through the network, through the platform, and through all the partnerships that we have been creating for the last 7-8 years, right? That the company has been alive. But obviously before that, I have a background in hospitality, marketing, languages, and then subsequently dedicated fully to financial services. Obviously, our biggest and most important achievement is being able to expand the vision here in the United States. So obviously, we have opened an entity here in New York. So I spent most of my time between London, Spain, Monaco, Switzerland, Dubai, and Singapore. And now that we are present here right next to the stock exchange, we're able to basically collide and communicate all the actual investment opportunities that are in America, which is essentially the largest valuations, the largest market caps, and basically diversify between the networks, so not only here in the US to expand, but also co-create financial partnerships with European and Middle Eastern family offices and venture capital firms, along with PE firms and institutional investors. So it's been great. It's such a journey. So it's been a dream come true to create Capital Variation. Now it's all about legacy and create the right partnerships.
Wow. So like, which type of investors do you guys work with? Who aligns with you guys?
So it really depends on the companies that we're able to help and the ones that we partner. We're very selective in who we partner with, just because the family offices that we collaborate with and the ones that are in our network are, the third generation, very embedded into their family visions and goals. And it's usually third generation of family offices with very strong relationships, like strong ethics and large AUMs. So whoever we bring to that network, whoever we bring to that space has to be reliable, has to be like blue chip, has to be an entity that is looking for growth, that is looking for partnerships, but is looking also to be a $1 billion company, right? So we have a very good eye to identify, sharp, smart, and very motivated entrepreneurs who are ambitious and are and looking forward to change the status quo and become disruptive technologies and $1 billion companies. Few partnerships at a year, probably 4 or 5, no more. Ticket sizes are between 25 to 100 million. And now ultimately we want to work more with women-led entities.
Wow. In terms of the companies, well, you just also said like, the women, now looking at women-led companies and things like that. Is there a specific type of company that, that you see that sticks out to your eye that says, okay, wow, this has potential, or the investors would be interested in?
Yeah, so it's typically companies that, we also work with direct companies, and we like working with direct companies directly with founders who have potential in like the defense space, AI, technology, real estate infrastructure, healthcare, and education. And some of the companies that we want to help, what we're seeing now is a lot more emerging entrepreneurs and emerging managers and funds that don't necessarily have the pedigree, but they have the access to the deal flow and the capital. Really good companies, large market caps, and are able to receive large amount of capital. We're sector agnostic, but we like to see opportunities that have obviously potential within the next 3 years because of geopolitical, basically actionable items. So basically companies that could adjust very easily because now everything is super volatile. There's lots of geopolitical situations around the world. And basically, we want to see potential companies looking to maneuver within this actual ecosystem.
Okay, so we're talking about the companies that you guys. So can you talk to us a little bit about the business model? Like, what exactly is the business model at Capital Variations?
So we have different ways to monetize our platform and our network. Obviously, the number one goal is to be able to add value to the network and to the investors and the companies that we partner with. I want everyone to win within the ecosystem, and that's why everyone keep coming back, because they actually gain a lot of. Basically, it's a one on one, right? So it's not always about giving, it's not always about taking. It's about making sure that everyone which is in the ecosystem can win. So we have events that we program every month. So what Capital Variation has been doing in the last couple of months, we've been traveling around the States, in Texas. We're going to Nashville, and we're also going to be in Los Angeles, Florida, and subsequently we're going back to Europe. Through the events, we're able to create a platform for family offices and founders and entrepreneurs to provide more information about what they're doing, what they're building, what they're passionate about. And at the same time, family offices can witness that themselves. They can see exactly what the founders are working on. They can network and they can meet each other face to face. So events, we also run a proprietary platform that raises capital through the network. So we are an affiliated company with a broker dealer called Finales here in the US. We're able to work on different mandates, like I said, 25 million and above, typically Series A. So we obviously work on a retained basis, and people who are able to successfully raise through the platform, it's going to be obviously a partner of ours. So we get a percentage of whatever capital they raise. And obviously we have done a lot of advisory work with family offices looking to enter into the impact space, nonprofits, and we're able to also work with governments or more institutional parties who want to have access to venture capital, PE opportunities, and we in the back end advise entities of all sizes.
So you have the advisory side, which you just talked about there with the family offices, also with the CEOs and the companies that do you have is advisory for them as well?
Yeah, so they come to us. It's typically the patriarch or the matriarch of the family office. They come to us typically because they want to diversify their assets. They're obviously looking to enter into new markets, and some of them in the Middle East, for example, or European markets, want to actually diversify their assets, have access to bigger, larger markets. And we advise them on a business development side. We do marketing, we do PR, and we work on a deal by deal basis and a case by case basis. Everything is tailor made to industry, to the investor, the company, the size, the aggressiveness of their either fundraising strategies or the diversification goals.
So how long does it take, let's say, for someone to now raise that capital? So let's say they come into Capital Variations. Do they have to pay to come to the events? Or is it like once you come part of the network in terms of the advisory and how does that also side work?
So what we've been doing in the past 7 years, we have been building nonstop the platform. So we have a proprietary platform of more than 10, 15,000 investors registered. And obviously we know the details, where they're investing on, what their risk profiles are, where they want to invest, what's the ticket size, the investment thesis. And so we understand all of that. And we've been helping companies to have access to different markets. And what we're doing right now is we're going to be monetizing the platform through memberships. So we're going to cap the membership at a certain price, and people that will be part of that membership, basically that membership process, is going to have access to all the events that we're going to be programming throughout the year. So through that platform, people are able to be part of it. They're able to provide more about information about their services, what they're investing on, and what's been very popular, or what I have seen more with my team, is that given everything that's happening right now, people are being more careful in where they place their assets. They're spending a little bit more time trying to get to know their parties, their counterparties, their competition. And that's basically conducted via face-to-face experiences. And that's what we provide. One event per month per state. Once we turn around the US, get our company more, let's say, well known here, so people know who we are, what we do, and what we specialize on. We then moved back to Europe, and we do exactly the same thing. We have different partnerships. Sometimes we do ticketing sales. Sometimes we have sponsorships that are able to provide the whole package. So every event is different. And like I said, depending on who the client is, what they're looking for, and how exactly we're able to help them, we provide a tailor-made approach through basically either a roadshow, a conference, or just simply by investing our time to shortlist a vast number of investors who want to be part of an event venue that it's probably going to be organized within like a month, and they just come, and it's a dialogue, right? It's about understanding what everyone is doing. It's about understanding, what keeps them awake at night, and how we are able, through the network, through the power of communication and partnerships and collaboration, help mitigate those problems and help be ahead of the curve of what's happening nowadays in the market.
Wow. And how, like, where did you see the gap in the market for this business? Like, how did you be able to create a couple of variations? Like, what was on your mind? What did you see that was missing in the marketplace for you to take the risk, be bold, and create a company such as this?
I saw a huge market within the family office world. As you know, family offices tend to manage large amount of wealth, many different industries, many different advisors, but not every advisor has the same intention and the good intentions for the family. They probably look at more like what their interests are. And I want this to be like an open platform and to be able to let investors learn, understand what's happening out there, who are the biggest and most active companies, and have access to really large companies like Anthropic, like OpenAI, like Anduril. So we have blocks of shares that we are working with so that we can provide that to our clients. We have access to private markets as well. We have a lot of inside information because the network shares that with us. So we want to be the open platform that everyone has access to these opportunities. And that was the biggest gap that I saw, because certain companies have access to like the largest deals and like the most hot prominent things, but often have to be like really large blocks of shares that I have to buy, like 50 million, 100 million. But there are certain ways that we can enter those allocations through different vehicles and structuring different deals according to investors' interest. So I think disruption and availability and access to really hot opportunities and just really building strong relationships. I think even if the companies are very well positioned, they're always looking for ways of diversifying and ways to enter different sectors that not necessarily are available, or they don't just really trust anyone just to kind of tell them, hey, this is the opportunity, because there's so much information out there. So we created that sort of like family platform that allowed them to get to know other strong players, other family offices in the US, in Europe, and the Middle East, to have real conversations and real like problems, real solutions to what everyone is facing, and be less transactional and more, let's say, building relationships long term. As you know, it could take to be able to fund a project or a product, it could be between 1 month, 2 months. But I've seen with the years, so sometimes really strong relationships do not materialize until like year 3 or 4. And it takes time, right? So some of them are more transactional because of course they like have a time frame. But a lot of the work that I do is more like long-term vision and long-term relationships with companies that are looking for different solutions, and trust is everything in this business.
So trust is everything. So how do you how do you have the patience in terms of staying long term, but also needing to meet deadlines, needing to have KPIs, things that you're trying to achieve financially? How are you able to balance both? Not just seeing everyone as what can I take, but okay, what can I give? And, really being in it for the long game instead of just, seeing people on a short term.
Of course, there is everything. There is this different type of personalities. There are different type of industries that require more speed, a more fast decision-making approach. But we're talking about family offices here. It's like, it will take time for you to build a family and a foundation that is built upon trust, respect, and obviously vision and mutual goals, right? So I look at this exercise as creating a family, an ecosystem. You didn't create Dubai in like within a year. They're really, really effective. They create a very strong, amazing country in 50 years. But it's still, is maturing, right? Every day it's a constant work. You have to be on top of the game. You cannot be in this business, in my opinion, and try to enter and like profit and then leave. That's it, right? This is the family office and the financial 1% space is very, very small, believe it or not. So more often than not, the reputation is everything within this business. And I knew it that when I had to create capital variation, even though I was young and I was 27 and I wanted to conquer the world and do this fast and create opportunities and like make a lot of money. Of course, I'm a very ambitious person, and I did do pretty well. So I managed to create strategies where I could capitalize monthly through the events, for example, and there were more longer ones, right? So families will come to me and say, "Oh, well, I'm having an exit within like 2 years' time," so we had to be connected, right? And we have to keep the relationship healthy and active, and that's why I'm in a plane almost every month to be able to build these relationships and keep them alive.
Wow, I can imagine the dedication and the sacrifice, being able to go and travel and to be there for your clients. So, like, when it
But I didn't
comes
do
to
this myself, right? I don't do this alone.
Mhm.
Obviously, have a team. I have an amazing COO. She's the CEO of the company. She's also my sister. She's based out of Germany. She speaks perfect German, and she has an amazing ability to be able to steer, uh, you know, personalities and basically people in different sectors. And she's able to create really strong foundations that will, work with us together. And I think you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and as a like disruptor in any market, you always have to be learning, and you always have to be very much aware of like what's happening in your surroundings, and being able to capitalize on different times. Like you have to also be really ahead of the curve or what's happening. You have to read the news every day. You have to understand who are the biggest players, who are the ones who are deploying, who are the ones who are able to like sponsor opportunities, get closer to them, and then obviously create like a platform and like a platform that is active, and you're able to capitalize on those people who want the access and have the capital. So that way we're given of the platform, the ecosystem, so that they can benefit from that. But it also costs us a lot of time and effort and dedication. So, people within this financial world that work the way that we worked understand that. And those are like the best partners, what I found. Often that no, we're able to work with them together. It's more like a partnership as opposed to just like us working for them.
what do you think is the key to fostering genuine relationships?
I think you have to leave aside a little bit the transactional game. I think being able to connect with another human being on a personal level and being able to understand how they think and how they see economies of scale is important. For some of those partners is about being part of an ecosystem where it's full of like young, energetic, blue chip entrepreneurs, and they know that being part of that ecosystem, it will lead to opportunities naturally. So I think if somebody will come to the network and they see what we do, see how we build and how we actually work together with partners, sponsors, family offices, they will understand that and they'll want to be part of it for the long run. So they'll see the value, they'll start investing with you, and investing with capital variation means investing with our fund, investing within the event scheduler that we have prepared for the whole year, means also being part of what we build together, and being able to be on the road with us, right? Sometimes like some of our partners have been traveling with us for the last 6 months to all of the locations that we've been together. And at some point, they've raised capital through some of the introductions that we've able to facilitate. Some of them are part of the conferences. They are also part of the panelist discussions, the presentations. So I take a very active role with the partners. We tend to give space for people to talk their minds, talk about why they're doing what they're doing, and being able to connect with other investors and with other founders. I think that's the most valuable lesson that I've learned throughout like my career. It's able to think about as an ecosystem, as a holistic approach. Everything that you do every day is going to prepare you to success. but it doesn't take, it takes years of building that. And it's not only take you years to do a product and like perfection it, right? Products can be perfected at any given time. Teams, you obviously want to have a strong team together with working with you that believes in the vision and is able to work long term with you. And I think people is everything within a company, right? The product can be enhanced at any time. You can always change the model as many times as you want. You can always increase visibility. You can always pay more on like marketing and PR. You can always do more through what you can control. But people and being able to build genuine relationships, it's all about being honest, being in integrity, and having respect for other people's time, for having respect for, the journeys of other people. And if you put yourself in the shoes of the other person, and if you think about how hard or how not always hard, but like it's a work that you put on to build either a brand, to build either a product, and you have to be respectful of that. And that's what I try to preach a lot, because I did everything myself, right? I don't come from a very strong or pedigree or like a background of like MIT or Boston University or anything like Harvard or associated like Ivy League. I built everything from scratch. I saw that from my family when we were living in Colombia. Everyone is basically an entrepreneur. They build businesses all the time. They enhance their products. They change the thing, the ecosystem, the business models, and we travel a lot. So I'm very used to change. I'm very used to like chaos and geopolitical issues. And I think whoever has a growth mindset and is able to always keep learning and educating themselves. It doesn't matter if you went to like a fancy university and that was it. You have to always be learning, educating yourself, going to seminars, being part of like public events and sectors that are like hot at the moment, and being able to be exposed and be humble that you don't know everything, and being able to say, okay, this is a new sector like AI, for example. There is like so many things that are moving so fast right now. And I think if you're not like ahead of the curve, your competitor will, and you will be basically obsolete as a company. I think part of our success at Capital Variation is not only the partnerships that we are able to forge throughout the years, but also now we are in the US and we're taking every single step to make sure that we're ahead of the curve and ahead of the competition. And that's not only being like competitive of other people or like winning or putting everyone down or anyone down. It's about collaborating together and growing together. There is enough resources in the world. There's enough capital in the world. And I think if you have a clear vision, a good intention, and if you're integral and respectful of people's journeys, like the sky is the limit.
What a powerful answer. And what was the biggest challenge when building Capital Variations? What was your hardest moment building this business?
I think there were times where I was thinking that I was not born to be an entrepreneur. So a few times I thought, okay, well, the worst thing that could happen is I just go back to, getting a job at some corporation. So I think being true to the vision, like having that mindset that, if it doesn't work through A or Z or B, C route, whatever, you'll find a way to make it happen. It's a bit lonely as well. I'm not going to lie. It's been lonely building an international brand because you're often in a plane and often like in different parts of the world, different schedules. You're dealing with a lot of personalities and a lot of cultures. So European, Asian, Middle Eastern, American, So I think it really helps to be open-minded. At the times of like loneliness and like a lot of the things that you have to go through to be an like successful entrepreneur, you have to go back to your family, and you have to go and like recharge and maybe have a step back and remember why you started, right? Sometimes you kind of deviate a little bit because you want to like get a bigger contract or whatever, so you start doing things that are not in alignment with the vision. So I think in those moments, I've been like, had to step back and recalibrate everything and rewrite the vision and trust the process, right? If you do the same actions towards a definite goal, if you repeat it every single day, and if you do the same things even better, and you educate yourself and you promote your brand and you do the partnerships, at some point, like all of these efforts materialize. I'm the proof of it, right? I'm the testament of it. Like I didn't give up, I said if I continue with the company after year 5, I think I made it. So it's year 7 this year, September 19, and our goal was to be here in New York City to have an office in the opposite the stock exchange, and have access to the most prominent opportunities and large market companies listed, and being part of like the most amazing stories, which is essentially seeing a company list in the stock exchange, right? So it's fascinating when when you start helping a company in Series A, and then ultimately they raise capital, 25 million, market cap grows, valuation grows, they get access to better investors, bigger markets, and essentially either they bought out or they're basically listed. So I think that's the best feeling in the world, and you cannot basically compare that to any successful story. But I think having a strong mindset and not giving up, staying true to your vision, it's super important in this business.
I love it. It's music to my ears. And how do you find, you've lived in so many amazing cities, how do you find living in New York? Which one's your favorite, would you even say?
I think I definitely don't say I have lived in every like amazing place in the world. I've definitely visited some of those cities or countries, and obviously I come from Colombia, which is a beautiful, rich, happy, and like culturally rich country. So I had that when I was a child. I moved for basically security reasons when I moved here to the United States when I was 12. Came back to Colombia when I was 15, moved to Europe, had the opportunity and the advantage of live in the third world countries like Germany, like London, like Spain, Switzerland. I like the part of the structured world. I'll say the organizational and richness of the culture in Europe. Like everything is very well structured. You have a very good life. Everyone is highly educated. People speak 4 or 5 languages. It's very easy to create relationships and maintain a high level of integrity and basically intellectual, because everyone tried to push themselves with everything they do. And subsequently, when I had the opportunity to live in the Middle East, I was blown away for what the country was able to reach in such a short period of time, which is essentially 52 years, right? It was a desert, and then 50 years later, a very strong economy, and it's still obviously developed. And obviously I'm very sad for what's happening right now, because it's kind of like putting them a little bit backwards, although they're very, very strong on cybersecurity and defense. So I'm pretty sure that it will be fine, but it's definitely putting them a step back of like everything they've achieved. So I really enjoy being in the Middle East. I'll definitely say that I have never felt so safe in a country like Dubai, and also Abu Dhabi, and like that part of the world. In the beginning, when I started going like 10 years ago, it was a little bit far behind. But the last 3 years, I've experienced an enormous shift in terms of like women empowerment, visibility for women to be in business, a sort of respect from other parties, especially in the governmental sector. They're pushing a lot the boundaries to help women being at the lead front of businesses, and I'm really, really pro women, and I like that. I felt very safe. I felt very empowered. I felt like I had like opportunities there, because it's a new country, so you can build upon any industry, and everyone is doing early stage stuff. So for you to evolve and to be part of that change and that growth is very much possible. But New York, it's a different game, right? New York is the financial center of the world, and things that move perhaps with the precision of like 3 or 4 months in Europe and the Middle East can be done here in like 2 weeks. So I've been prepared. I said that I've been preparing myself to be in New York. So I built a company in London. It was very much embedded into like the financial ecosystem, very like structured, very Commonwealth driven. And then subsequently, when I lived in Dubai, it was a new challenge for me in terms of culture. And same in Singapore, everything was like, every culture is different. But I guess New York has embraced me so well. And the biggest partnerships and the biggest capital raising stories are definitely going to be happening here in New York. So I'm not leaving, obviously, London or Dubai on the side. But if I wanted to choose something where you want to build $1 billion company, it would be definitely here in the US.
Yeah. I went out to New York it was more of a business trip this last time because I had been there before just for holiday, and exactly just that vibe, the quickness, the speed, just the energy, especially coming here from Sydney, it was just, you couldn't compare. I definitely see what you're saying. Before we start to wrap it up, just quickly ask you, what does your vision look like? What does the next 10 years look like for Margaret and Capital Variation?
That's a very good question. I think like all the work is done. I think like the hardest years are like far behind. So that obviously has been building a brand and a name out of scratch, literally. I started everything with like, a piece of paper and a pen, a vision, and probably one or two investors and $5,000 in the bank account. So, having now successfully raised capital for different companies, we raised more than 150 million since inception in different sectors and different vehicles, opened companies in London and the Middle East, and now successfully have done it here, going through all the hurdles and like all the regulatory framework, and being able to, steer people to our gatherings and being able to, create the trust. And sometimes hearing really strong investors and companies to hear your advice, it's priceless. So that we're in that level now. We're trustworthy. We did what we said that we're going to do. And now the next thing is about raising our own fund, deploying it directly with other family offices, and building a legacy. So I had to build everything from scratch from when we left Colombia. We flew on a political asylum to Spain, and my family and I lost everything. So I'm building the legacy, and I'm working on a book. I'm working on a film as well to tell the story about Margaret Gonzalez and Capital Variation. And it's just the beginning, right? The main goal is to be able to inspire, to be able to give strength to other founders and entrepreneurs and women in emerging markets to dream, to bet for their dreams, and really give them the strength to say, okay, if Margaret Gonzalez did it in Europe, in the Middle East, and now she's rocking in the US, I want to be able to be an inspiration for younger female leaders and female financial students in universities and schools. And therefore, that's why we're working on some collateral to be able to leave that legacy and being an example for other women who want to be part of this, who want to create amazing companies and disrupt markets and be essentially their own banks and their own, let's say, biggest supporter, right? So I want other women to feel empowered through my story.
Wow, very, very powerful to see your vision, to see your passion. We also play a little game here. I'll give you a word, and whatever comes to your mind, you say, okay? And then I can get you to.
Interesting.
First word, CEO. What's the first word that comes to your mind?
Hope.
Explain.
I want to be able to be a channel or a route or a vertical for other people to hope that everything they dream is possible by creating a company and adding value to ecosystems. That's what a CEO should do, should be, a leader and a person that could provide hope to create anything out of thin air.
Powerful. Patience.
Very much. Super important. But I'm Colombian and I'm Latin American, so I like speed. I like things to move quick. I like things to move efficiently, and execution is key for me, for my business. So I think you have to have a bit of balance in your life. Of course, I made hundreds of mistakes for being quick and fast, but I think that's the only way to learn, by making mistakes. It's better to make a mistake than just stay stuck in a place. So I'm very fond of making mistakes and moving on. And those are because you're probably fast sometimes and you take fast decisions. But, this world is moving very fast. So if you don't take decisions, if you don't take risks, sometimes you risk being in one place and not being able to develop yourself fully.
Powerful. Money.
The most important thing aside of family. Everything is money. Energy is money. You need to be able to understand how money works and how to create value through money. The most powerful people in the world, obviously, were people who were able to raise an enormous amount of capital and bet in other businesses, and to be able to move that freely, you need to be able to spend capital, invest capital in companies that are shaping the world, and being able to bet. Sometimes you lose money, and that's okay, but you need to be able to be okay with that. And if you're bankrupt, or if you go through a very bad like story, and you have to build it again, you have to not be scared about money, and investing is important.
I love it. Resilience.
Oh, super important. I think one of the reasons why I'm successful is because I had a very challenging childhood. We could have give up about leaving the country and starting over again, and so many opportunities where we could just work for somebody else and forget about the dreams. But I think being resilient is better than just kind of like giving up. So it hurts sometimes, and it's not easy. So if you want to reach certain level of threshold, a certain level of status, and a certain level of power, you need to be resilient, and you have to be okay with not being okay. So that's a very, very important part of being an entrepreneur. Resilience and grit, important.
You said you have to be okay with not being okay. What do you mean by that?
You have to be okay by being uncomfortable. You have to be okay with not knowing all the answers always. You have to be okay with putting yourself on the spot and sometimes not being right, or not being the most prepared or educated or smarter person in the room. There's always more important, more richer, wealthier people than you, more well prepared. It's always going to be someone better. So I think by you always having that growth mindset and not knowing everything and not being okay with, the unknown, it's a powerful skill.
Powerful. We're going to leave it there, Margaret. Thank you so much for coming and speaking about your vision, your story, where Capital Variations is going. I'm looking more to seeing from you. The events and everything you guys are doing is quite powerful. I've seen it on LinkedIn, and I love how action orientated we were. We spoke a little bit on LinkedIn, boom, 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 like you said, the speed, and now here we are doing a podcast.
Yeah, like our next event, flying tomorrow to Nashville. We're focusing like emerging states in the US. That's where I believe the biggest opportunities were laid. So we did Texas, we're going to Nashville the next weeks. We're partnering with very strong family offices. They're supporting us. We want to give them visibility as well. And we want to go to states where it's not the typical New York or the typical Los Angeles or like Florida. So we're visiting all the states, and I'm particularly excited because of Nashville. Very, very good opportunities. We're seeing early stage, and we want to be able to add value to those ecosystems through our outreach and our connectivity in like major financial hubs like London, like Switzerland, and being able to call to action to some of the partners and investors that are capitalizing and diversifying in emerging markets or emerging states, which I truly believe to be early and capitalizing long term. So next is Nashville, and next month in May, we will be in Los Angeles for another conference in partnership with the New York Stock Exchange.
Wow, busy. I can't wait to see all of this come out.
And there will be also a live interview. I'll tell more about my story at FinTech TV, which is a channel that is live broadcasting inside the New York Stock Exchange. So I'll give my quick story, 7-minute story. So I'll share that with you, so you can share it with anyone that you might think will be powerful, inspiring, or just will benefit from the information that we're going to be sharing.
That's perfect. Yeah, please do. And actually, I'll give you one more word, which I just forgot about quickly. Legacy.
Everything that I do is to work towards the vision, and that's ultimately a legacy. Like I said to you, there are various strategies that we're creating, like through the book, through the movie, to the interviews. And legacy, I think if you're working towards a goal, and if you're like thinking short term and like within like the next year, 6 months, and try to pay your bills and like just cover whatever, you ultimately cutting yourself short. And I think having a long-term plan, like a 10, 20, 30, 40-year plan, and in being able to embed your family, your future goals to that. I think attachment to building a legacy as opposed to just, waiting to see what happens the next couple of years, I think is not very smart. So you have to create a strategy long term where you embed your family, where you create opportunities, and ultimately you involve, your whole ecosystem and family. And that's not easy. That's not an easy task. So you have to identify the right parties, the right partners, and being able to communicate that early so that, you have that vision together and work collectively within family, within partners, with shareholders, and ultimately founders as well. So I think you need to have a very clear vision and mission and objective, and then being able to communicate that through the network so the right people come to you and then build that together for the long term, because building businesses, it's for the long run. So I think the more clear you are within yourself, the more honest you are in terms of what you want to do, how you want to build things, and who you want to attract, the more success you're going to have.
I love it. That's amazing advice to end it off there. Thank you so much for your time. And I know you're also very busy, so thank you so much for giving up your time today to just inspire people.
Thanks so much for this, and thank you for making me part of your podcast. I'm really, really excited to see what we can collaborate on as well. So anything you need here in New York City, I'm here. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Hey, what's wrong? Bro, I'm stressed out. I'm running my business. I've got to serve my customers, but I need more customers coming in. I can't keep relying on word of mouth. Why don't you just use ETS Rabasha Media? Who? Well, with AI now, what they do is they go in, get your perfect clients, bring them in front of you. So all I got to do is run my business and he brings me opportunities. Think about it. You speak to 3,000 of your ideal customers, convert 1% of that 3,000, that's 30 people. 30 people in a room with you, can you convert that? Of course I'll close them. I'm good at what I do. I just don't have time to be going and looking for my perfect client. Focus on what you love doing and let them bring you customers. When you win, they win, commission, ching. Sujira Rabasha, huh? Yeah, Sujira Rabasha. Go and Google them, man. Come on, take it to the bank.
If you really enjoyed this video, make sure to click here, and I'm sure you're gonna love that one.